Is Amy, and I came here from Syracuse. I don't have a lot of connections to Rochester, but when my daughter Isabella was diagnosed with cancer, we found the world became much bigger. This is my now 11-year-old daughter Isabella. She was diagnosed with cancer in 2004. She was just 1 week shy of her 3rd birthday. Bella endured 2.5 years of chemotherapy and went off treatment in April 2007. She is here today, healthy and happy. In the summer of 2010, when Bella was 8 years old, she decided she was big enough to go to sleepaway camp with Camp Good Days. It was to be a week of sun and fun with the kids, just like her, who either had or have had cancer. When I picked her up a week later, she was so excited to tell me about her week away, and mostly about a boy she had met. His name was Connor, and she had no idea where he was from except that she knew he was not from Syracuse. Bella told me about a night by the campfire when she and Connor were chatting. He asked her if she had cancer, and she told him her cancer was gone. Connor told her he still had his, but he was fighting it. Bella went on to tell me how during this fire chat, she began to shiver from the cold night, and Connor, without question, wrapped his arm over her shoulders and said, "Is that better?" During arts and crafts that week, Connor carved B-E-L-L-A into a block of wood and gave it to her to keep. They ended that week by attending the camp dance, where, as Bella tells me, they were both too shy to dance together, but that Connor proudly showed her his Justin Bieber moves. And they promised each other they would dance together next summer for sure. I could not believe that Bella and Connor did not share contact information, but would wait until next year to connect again. In the fall of that 2010, Bella was invited to travel to Disney World with Camp Good Days, and we had to attend a big meeting in Rochester in January. We wondered aloud if there was any way Connor might be invited to go to Disney too. We waited quietly as the room filled up with children, and with each boy who entered, I would look at Bella and she would shake her head no. When the room was totally packed with just 2 seats left beside us, in came a shyly smiling blonde-haired boy and his mom, and as I glanced down at Bella, her face was bright red and she was grinning ear to ear. It was Connor. He too was going to Disney. A couple weeks later, we took Bella to the airport in Rochester, and there I put my child in the protection of Connor. He told me he would watch out for Bella, and she promised his mom she would watch out for him. And from what I've been told from the camp counselors, that is what they did. Bella talked so much of how Connor was going to be her husband someday. She was sure of it. And I now know that Connor told his family the same thing. In June of 2011, just a few weeks before it was time for Bella to go back to Camp Good Days for her week with Connor, I received news that Connor had passed away. I was told that when he returned from Disney, his family was to find out his cancer had come back. I found myself having to sit my 9-year-old daughter down to tell her this horrible news. I expected her to yell, scream, cry, something. But instead, she looked at me and said she wanted to be left alone. She went to her big sister Abby and found comfort there. I told Bella that Connor's wake was in a couple days and that we could send flowers and a card. Bella insisted we travel to Rochester to say goodbye. Most of what those moments at that church were like is quite personal for Bella, and I will respect that. But I do want you to know that when we got back in the car, I was crying and apologizing to Bella for being so upset, as she kept her composure. As we traveled back to Syracuse, Bella told me from the back seat she felt like Connor had taken half her heart to heaven. Because of cancer, Bella never will have that dance with Connor. She will never know if this boy would have been her first boyfriend. She will never know if Connor was to have been her future. So what everybody does today, every dollar you give, every piece of hair that falls on the floor, is a chance for a child to have a future. We don't know what these children's futures were meant to be, and we're missing wonderful pieces of this world every time we lose one. Thank you.